Hello, everybody. Welcome to First Fridays with McEntee Law Group. My name is Ray McEntee, and I am one of the partners in the McEntee Law Group. I head up the sports and entertainment division. Happy Friday. Can't believe it's already September. The summer has gone by so fast. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to start with some immigration news, and then I am going to answer some questions that we got. Okay, here we go. Alrighty, so first bit of news we have is that temporary protected status has been announced that they've extended it for Ukrainians, for Ukrainian citizens. And the TPS has been designated through April 19th, 2025. So it's been extended to April 2025 with a re-registration period between August 21st, 23 and October 20th, 2023. And a initial registration period from August 21st, 2023 to April 19th, 2025. So that's great news that TPS has been extended for Ukrainian citizens. Okay. On another note, TPS note as well, the TPS has also, they recently announced that TPS has been extended for citizens of Sudan. And the TPS coverage will continue through to April 19, 2025 as well for newly granted TPS. And then the re-registration period for TPS for Sudanese citizens is from August 21st, 23 to October 20th, 2023. That's the re-registration period. And then the registration period from August 21st, 2023 through till April 19, 2025. So it's good that TPS has been extended for both Ukrainians and Sudanese citizens. Okay. Another important announcement is a new online appointment request form. This is really, really great. It's probably something that immigration lawyers are probably going to get more excited about. But basically, USCIS has introduced a new way for individuals or attorneys to make online appointments for their clients. So it's allowed to basically schedule an in-person appointment at a local USCIS field office for added stamps or emergency advance parole, immigration judge grants, and so forth. Basically, there's a various different appointments that you can make. You can now do it through this online registration process, this online registration form. This is amazing because previously you had to kind of ring up and try and get these appointments, and you would be on hold for very, very long. It was very, very difficult. It was very, very difficult to get these appointments. So hopefully with this new system, with this new online appointment system, it's going to make things a lot easier, a lot smoother, and it'll make it just a lot better for people being able to get these appointments because it's been very difficult before. Okay, another bit of news that we're probably not as excited about is that former President Trump has recently announced his new immigration plan in the build-up to the upcoming presidential election. And I'll just kind of pull up some of the highlights from it. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so as you can imagine, it's going to be very restrictive. This plan that President Trump has announced, he wants to ramp up ideological screening for people legally applying to come into the country. U.S. law had blocked communists for entering for decades. It just hasn't really been enforced. Trump now wants to reject applicants who are deemed Marxists. He also says that he plans to send the Coast Guard and Navy to form a blockade in the waters off the US and Latin America to stop drug smuggling boats. He says that he wants to expand his Muslim ban idea to block even more people from entering the US. Previously, as people may remember, one of the first things he did was he announced his Muslim travel ban and implemented it, and it caused chaos for people coming back into the US. There's more than a dozen countries. It affected a lot of mainly Muslim or African countries. This plan had been rescinded by President Biden through an executive order. But former President Trump says that he wants to expand on this, and if he gets into office, that's something he's going to do. Another aim for President Trump is to end birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants. That's basically what he's saying, is that children born in the US to undocumented immigrants will not be US citizen. He had considered this formally as president, and never happened. But with today's conservative-leaning Supreme Court, who knows what will happen? But that's something he's saying he wants to do. He also wants to extend the floating barriers in Texas's floating barriers in the Rio Grande, and also he said he wants to complete his border wall. So as you can see, it's very it's probably what people would expect from that announcement. Okay. Also, sorry, one what else? Oh yeah. Holiday weekend is coming up, Labor Day. And kind of that's something near and dear to us at McEntee Law. We want to take some time to recognize and acknowledge the vital role that unions play in the United States. One of our specialties in our firm is we do a lot of music and sports visas. And with these applications, you need to submit no objection letter, consultation letters from the applicable unions. So we just want to give a shout out to the unions for not only the work they do in protecting American workers' rights, but also for lending their authority and reputation and helping with the filing of our music and sports petitions. So thank you. Also, there is deferred action for labor enforcement, which is coming out. This is a process to enhance enhancements for supporting labor enforcement investigations. This is that non-citizen workers who are victims of or witnesses to violations of labor rights can now access a streamlined, expedited, deferred action request process. This is going to help in kind of in carrying out investigations and kind of enforcing labor violations. So this is exciting. We're going to be doing a blog and putting it out about that with more information. So please stay tuned on our website for more, on our social media. Also, we're going to have some upcoming webinars beyond the cap, exploring cap exempt H1B opportunities. This is going to be hosted by one of our associates, Catherine Del Rosario, and it's going to basically explore cap exempt H1B opportunities. So stay tuned for that for more information there. So yeah, that's kind of a summary of kind of the latest immigration news. I'm going to move on now to some questions that we had gotten. Okay. And a lot of the times, with these, we kind of can give general information. We can't really give specific legal advice to people, but I can kind of give general information. Okay. So if someone has applied for naturalization, they're currently waiting for their interview. If they need to return home to their home country, are they able to travel home while their naturalization application is pending without jeopardizing a naturalization process? Okay, what are the things to know about that? It's a very good question. Yes, it depends. It really depends on what your specific circumstances are. If your travel is not going to push you over, is going to kind of jeopardize the physical presence requirement that is needed for the naturalization process, then you can travel. I wouldn't advise a long period of travel. Definitely, I wouldn't go more than 6 months. Definitely not more than a year. And also, you need to look back and look at your physical presence, because you need to, whether it's if you're married to and living with a U.S. citizen and you're basing your naturalization claim off that, or if it's an employment-based one and it's been a permanent resident for 5 years, you need to make sure that half of that time you've been physically present in the U.S. If you're looking to go and travel, and that this upcoming travel is going to push you over that half the time physically present in the US, then that travel is not advised. Also, extended period of time, you could be deemed to have abandoned your permanent residency. That's going to be a problem too. Also, if it looks like if it looks like you're moving out of the US, then that's not advisable either. You need to maintain your permanent residency and meet all of these requirements up until the day that you're sworn in as a US citizen. So that's really important. So traveling while a naturalization application is pending, possibly. If you're working with an attorney, talk to them, and just be, get advice. Just be very careful to make sure that this travel doesn't, impact those things that I just mentioned. Okay, got another question. My work visa is expiring soon, but my green card application is in process. What should I do? Good question. So that would really depend on, what type of green card application is in process. Is it an employment-based one? Is it a marriage-based one? When did you file it? Have you received work authorization already as part of this process? Generally, a general rule of advice is we always would recommend trying to maintain your underlying status throughout the process, throughout the entire green card process. So, you have an underlying status up until your green card is adjudicated. This is kind of more important. I would probably say it's more important in employment context, as there's more, possibility that something could go wrong in that context. But, it depends. If you are, if you filed your green card and you have your work and travel authorization, then potentially you could be okay just kind of working on that. But again, what I would say is if you're working with an attorney, just talk to them about it, because they'd be the best person to, that's the best person to speak to and can advise you on it. Okay, I lost my green card. How can I get a replacement one? Good question. That's unfortunate. Make sure that, I think you might need to report it if you've lost your green card. Also, you can get a replacement green card by filing an I-90 form. You can do this online. By just type in I-90 USCIS I-90, that'll bring you to the webpage, and you should be able to file the I-90 form online. You need to pay the fee, and the processing times vary. And I think there will be an option to say that your green card is lost, has been lost or stolen, and just make sure, with the instructions, look at that, look at the instructions as to what you do, but you may need to kind of report that that's been stolen too, or lost. Okay. Next question. Okay. So, if you've been to if you originally came to the US as a visitor and you overstayed, when you're in a relationship with a US citizen, you're engaged, you're looking to get married, what can you do? The fact you've been here and you've overstayed, if you're to leave, the fact you've overstayed by more than a year, if you're to leave, you're going to trigger an automatic 10-year ban. The fact that you're here now, it's been a long time since you entered. Circumstances have changed. You're in a relationship you're in a bona fide relationship with a US citizen. You could potentially, file a marriage-based green card. That's kind of like a one-stop adjustment, which would adjust your status from like B2 overstay to a permanent resident. You would file everything at once. It kind of the process takes about 6 months to a year, and upon successful conclusion of that, you would probably become a conditional resident, because you probably won't have been married more than 2 years at the time you get your green card, depending on the process. But that could potentially be an option. Again, there's a lot more technical, specific advice that goes into this here. So if you're working with a lawyer, talk to them. There's definitely going to be travel restrictions while that's being filed, and there's a lot more specific information you would need to know. But yes, potentially you could file a green card. But if you don't and you leave, you're going to be subject to a ban. Most likely going to be subject to that automatic 10-year ban, because you've overstayed more than a year. Okay. Next question. If somebody's filed asylum 6 months ago and they haven't gotten a decision yet, can they apply for an EAD, an employment authorization document? If so, how long will it take before they can start? Yeah. So if you filed an asylum case after 5 months, after the case has been receipted and pending for 5 months, you can file for employment authorization. And you could potentially get it within a month. In reality, probably not seeing that. In reality, it's probably like 3 or 4 months that it's going to take to get your EAD. But if your asylum application has been pending for more than 150 days, you should be able to file employment authorization. You should be able to file for an EAD. Again, if you're working with a lawyer or whoever you've been working with, talk to them about it. But, you should potentially be able to file that. Okay. Another kind of specific question here. I'll speak in some generals here. I can't really give specific advice. I'll just kind of say that, this would definitely warrant a consultation to get specific advice. But okay, so somebody came in on a visa, on an L1 visa, and they were, okay. Somebody came in on an L1A visa and they'd been laid off and they're looking at some other options. What can they do? I would kind of, when were you laid off? There should be a 60-day grace period for L1 individuals who have been laid off. That kind of gives you 60 days to kind of look at your options and maybe find a new employer, find some sort of thing. But maybe there's an L1, maybe there's some other options, maybe there's an E2, maybe there is some green card options available to you, depending on your position, who you've worked with, and your kind of roles. But this is an inquiry that definitely you would want to do a consultation. I would advise come to our firm, get a consultation with one of the attorneys here who can definitely help and advise you, or somewhere else. But this is something that you would need kind of an in-depth review of your circumstances, to not to get the right advice here. But make sure you want to make sure that when were you laid off, and check the grace periods, and make sure that you're not staying longer than you're meant to. But that's the most important thing. That's what I would do straight away, is look at that. So get in touch with us or another firm to talk about that. We do a lot of L's and a lot of kind of other the possible options that might work. But just I would reach out to someone sooner rather than later. Another question I get is, can I get a national interest waiver green card if I don't have a degree? This is a good question. And kind of, yes, you can. You can get a national interest waiver if you can show exceptional ability. And basically how you show exceptional ability, there's a list of criteria. And basically you can, you need to satisfy a certain amount. But, I think having a degree and certificates and so forth is one of that criteria. But you do not need to have that to get it. That's just one of the criteria. So yeah, you could get a national interest waiver green card without having a degree. Again, you would need to show exceptional ability, and to do this, you would want to talk to a lawyer, go over kind of your evidence, what you have, and kind of to make a best assessment of what criteria you think you can satisfy. But yeah, you could potentially get an NIW without having a degree. I think that's all the questions we had gotten. I hope it's been helpful and informative. For anybody, if you want you want more specific advice for you, I would advise get in contact with us. We can do somebody in the firm here can do a consultation with you to give you more specific advice. A lot of these, you would need to do we need time to go over everything and kind of really give you specific advice. But they were good questions. And so then just to do another quick recap of kind of the news, TPS has been extended for Ukraine and Sudan. There's a new online appointment request form, which is hopefully will really improve the process of, getting InfoPass appointments, to get added stamps or emergency advance parole to allow you to leave the US for an emergency. And then, also, as I had mentioned, former President Trump's immigration plan that he launches, not such great news. Labor Day. Everybody have a happy, healthy, and safe Labor Day. Shout out to the unions for the great work that you're doing. And stay tuned for more information on the deferred action for labor enforcement. We're going to have a blog coming out about this with a lot more info. And then also anybody who's looking for info and on the CAP exempt H1B process. So basically CAP exempt these are specific organizations that are not subject to the annual CAP, which basically means you don't have to go into that lottery system and register and kind of go in and have the random lottery and see if you get selected. If you're CAP exempt, that doesn't apply to you. If you're working for a CAP exempt organization or you want to file a H1B through a CAP exempt organization, there's no kind of timeline. There's no time restriction. You can file that at any time during the year. And there's no lottery, which is great. What you see is the majority of the H1B applications we see are subject to the CAP. But if you do find yourself in a situation where you are potentially looking at starting to work with a CAP exempt organization, make sure to tune into our upcoming webinar with Katrin Del Rosario. You can reach out to us, follow us on social, and you can go find out info on all of that. Let's see if I have it down. So that's kind of everything. I hope this has been informative. I hope the questions were answered, that I answered them as best as I can. And again, everybody have a great Labor Day weekend, and thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.